The Mafia loves construction companies. It's probably not news to you that the Mafia is a criminal organization that has been around for many years. And it's no secret that they have made a lot of money through illegal activities. But what is probably less known is the fact that the Mafia actually loves construction companies more than any other type of business. So why is this? What makes construction companies so appealing to the Mafia? In today's video, we'll take a look at the history between organized crime and construction companies, how it all started, and how it continues today. If you want to find out more, stay tuned. Let's get into it. A lot of people wonder why construction companies are so popular with the Mafia, when there are so many other industries out there that are just as profitable. Well, the truth is that there are a number of reasons why construction is the perfect industry for mobsters to get involved in. For one, it's an industry with a lot of cash flow. Most construction projects are paid for in cash, and this makes it easy for mobsters to launder their money. They can simply take some of their illegal profits and invest it in a legitimate construction company, and then use that company to funnel money back to themselves. This makes it very difficult for law enforcement to track down where the money is coming from and going to. Another reason why construction is such a great industry for the Mafia is because there is a lot of opportunities to make money through kickbacks and payoffs. When a mobster is working on a construction project, they can get kickbacks from the suppliers, who provide materials for the project. They can also make payoffs to government officials in order to get favorable contracts or to avoid having their projects shut down. There are so many ways to make money in this industry, which is why it's so appealing to the Mafia. Now you might be wondering, did the Mafia always love construction companies? The answer is no. In the early days of the Mafia, they were mostly involved in other types of businesses, such as gambling and prostitution. However, during the 1920s and 30s, the Mafia began to expand their criminal enterprises, and they started to see the potential in the construction industry. At this time, there was a lot of construction going on in the United States as cities were growing and developing. This provided a lot of opportunities for the Mafia to make money. They began to infiltrate construction companies and unions, and before long, they had a strong foothold in the industry. The Mafia has been involved in construction ever since. One of the most famous cases of Mafia involvement in construction is the case of the Colombo crime family. In the 1970s, this family was involved in a number of construction projects in New York City. They used their influence to extort money from contractors and developers, and they even bombed several construction sites in order to collect on the insurance policies. The Colombo crime family made millions of dollars through their construction activities, and they were able to use this money to fund their other criminal enterprises. Now let's take a look at another example, the Genovese crime family. During the 1980s and 90s, this family dominated the construction industry in New York City. They controlled the local 600 union, and they used their power to extort money from contractors. They also ran a number of legitimate construction companies that they used to launder money. The Genovese crime family was so powerful that they were able to avoid law enforcement for many years. However, eventually they were brought down by a series of high-profile trials. So how do these families compare to other Mafia families when it comes to construction? All of the 5 American Mafia families have been involved in construction at one time or another. However, the Colombo and Genovese families are probably the ones who have been most involved. These two families have a long history of involvement in the construction industry, and they have made a lot of money through their criminal activities. In the past, the Mafia has been able to avoid law enforcement by being very secretive about their activities. However, in recent years, law enforcement has gotten wise to their ways, and they have been able to break up many Mafia construction rings. One of the most successful operations against the Mafia was the 1986 federal government operation called Operation Stack. This was a massive investigation that involved wiretaps, surveillance, and a lot of undercover work. What it did was break open the Gambino crime family's hold on the construction industry in New York City. This family had been controlling the local 600 union and using their power to extort money from contractors. Operation Stack put an end to that. Another successful operation was the 1992 federal government operation called Operation Big Stealing. This was a 3-year investigation that resulted in the arrests of over 100 mobsters. The targets were members of the Lucchese crime family, who were involved in a number of construction and waste management companies. Despite these setbacks, the Mafia has not given up on construction. In recent years, they have been involved in a number of large-scale construction projects across the country. One of the most notable examples is the construction of the new Yankee Stadium. The Mafia was heavily involved in the construction of this stadium, and it's believed that they were able to skim millions of dollars off the project. Another example is the construction of the new Meadowlands Sports Complex in New Jersey. Again, the Mafia was involved in this project, and it's believed that they were able to steal millions of dollars. But why is it so hard to stop the Mafia from stealing from construction projects? It's because the Mafia has a number of advantages when it comes to construction. First, they have a lot of experience in the industry. As we've said, the Mafia has been involved in construction for decades, and they know how the industry works. They also know how to pay off the right people to get the job done. Another advantage the Mafia has is that they are willing to work for less money. The Mafia doesn't need a lot of money to live. They're happy with very low salaries because their goal is not to make money. Their goal is to make power and control. So when the Mafia bids on a construction project, they are not trying to win the contract based on price. They're trying to win the contract based on power. They will offer to do the job for less money just so they can get their foot in the door. Once they have the project, they will use every dirty trick in the book to make as much money as possible. The Mafia is also very good at moving large amounts of money quickly. This is important in the construction industry because there are a lot of expenses. When a contractor starts a construction project, they have to pay for materials, labor, and equipment up front. The Mafia is able to get the money needed for these expenses through a legal means, and then they are able to move that money quickly to the construction site. Lastly, the Mafia is not afraid to get violent. When the Mafia is protecting a construction project, they are not afraid to use violence to keep people away. They will threaten workers, suppliers, and anyone else who gets in their way. This allows them to complete their projects without any interference. So despite all the efforts of law enforcement, the Mafia still loves construction companies, and they are not going to stop anytime soon. Hopefully you now understand why construction companies are so popular with the Mafia. It's because there is a lot of money to be made in this industry. The Mafia has the experience, connections, and willingness to do whatever it takes to make money. You might think that law enforcement would be able to stop the Mafia from stealing from construction projects, but the Mafia has a number of advantages when it comes to construction. They know the industry well. They're not afraid to get violent, and they can move money quickly. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave us a thumbs up. Also, if you want to watch more videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching. Till next time.